Andy Rosedon, our correspondent, who's in Louisville, Kentucky tonight, where there have been protests in the wake of the grand jury decision to charge only one officer and not related to the shooting death of Breonna Taylor. Andy, you've been reporting that officers have been shot tonight. What's the latest?
Well, David, out here it's been a chaotic night. Actually, just in the last few minutes, things have kind of quieted down right now behind me. At this I just asked the sergeant as he zoomed out of there, what exactly happened? Who was shot? He said it could be 3 officers who were shot. He said that at least 2 were shot. He said one was in bad shape. He said the other one was in better. Was standing around some officers who were just keeping watch a few blocks away. And all of a sudden they went screaming out of there, just tearing down this street. I happened to run into one of the last officers to leave that scene. I said, "What's going on?" And he said, "An officer's been shot." And then he very sarcastically said, "Yeah, real peaceful protest." So that's what's been going on here, David. It started out after the announcement of the decision from the grand jury. There were arrests, and officers did drag a few protesters away. Not terribly violent, but there was some scuffles with police. But then eventually, as I'm going to readjust my hand here, there we go, live TV. Eventually, it came down to a shouting match. People were shouting at police with bullhorns. And then it really calmed down for a while, David. Things got pretty calm out there at the Hall of Justice, where there is a Breonna Taylor sort of a flower and candle memorial out there. And it was calm for about an hour and a half or so. And then fires started cropping up. Someone started setting fires outside the Hall of Justice. Multiple fires were set, and that brought out police. They cleared the area with some rubber bullets and a flash boom. That got protesters on the move and marching down the street, setting more fires, doing a little more property damage. And then came the reports of the officers shot here in the location behind me. But again, David, we just don't know their conditions at this point. Yeah, that is at the Hall of Justice in downtown Louisville. Otherwise, it's a ghost town down there. Right now, I'm on the edge of downtown. And it's all boarded up and barricaded, but somebody tried to start a fire there at the Hall of Justice. It didn't go anywhere. It was quickly put out, but other fires were started nearby. And as well, that is where this flower and candle memorial to Breonna Taylor has been set up for days. And like I said, an odd night that it got calm for quite a while, and then suddenly the fires, and then suddenly the reports of officers shot. Yeah, these were just, it was the fire at the Hall of Justice there against some cars.
Williams with U.S. News and World Report. Joe Williams in Washington, D.C., as you're watching some of these images, as we are, as they've been feeding in. First of all, what do you make of the news that at least 2 officers have been shot, possibly a third, one officer apparently in a fairly serious condition, according to latest reports?
Some retaliation, or if it's going to be some kind of, it's going to be proven to be some kind of outside person coming to shoot. But certainly this is not a good look on a city that's already been on edge and that has a long way to go before these things settle down. I mean, if I'm going to be honest, my reaction was not surprised. It kind of had that sheen from the beginning because it took so long for an investigation to be even launched that it seemed fairly apparent that this was not going to result in what protesters had been demanding, and that is just protests and is advocating a law and order stance. It did not surprise me in the least that no charges were filed. What was kind of surprising and even a little bit stunning might be a little bit strong, but it was very surprising to me to hear him go on at length about how protests need to be peaceful and how justice isn't always where you want it, and sometimes justice does not comport to the national mood and changing standards, and expect Hollywood celebrities and other people on the left to weigh in on this, but the facts are what they are. I mean, that seemed to go a little further than what was necessary in order to get the job done and explain why a grand jury reached the result that it did. Compounding that was a lot of notice was made about the fact that Breonna Taylor's name was not even mentioned anywhere in Cameron's statement or in the official report of the grand jury's statement. Again and again, Cameron called this a tragedy. He called this a tragedy of epic proportions. Nothing I do will take away the pain, which I think really kind of gives short shrift to what the demonstrators have been asking for all along, which is accountability from police.
Andy Rosen, let's go back to you in Louisville, Kentucky. Was there a sense tonight that that things were getting more tense? I mean, we've seen the videos, of course, of the fires that you were able to get on video earlier tonight at some of the marches. Did it seem like this was sort of inevitable that there was going to be some sort of clash, or I mean, what were some of the efforts to try to tamp down the tensions?
Right. I think in the beginning, David, yes, tensions were very high right after the announcement was made. Marchers just marched down the street. I talked to one woman who said she was just numb by what she had heard. And then things got a little bit heated. It wasn't overly so. As I mentioned, there were those arrests where some protesters were dragged away to be arrested. One city council member here in Louisville, who was very disgusted by the decision reached by the grand jury, said he hoped that those